Alrighty, welcome back. Another episode, overdue episode, Post-Fades and Cheesesteaks. We did not have one last week. Tim was away in a bungalow or something like that.
Yeah, we were at the. I was when I tell you, I mean, I'm sure you've been to places that are like you would consider in the middle of nowhere. When
Yes, yeah, yeah.
like those places are like hustling and bustling compared to the places that are in the middle of nowhere in England.
Mm.
I, these it was nice. Didn't leave the house. They had some Christmas convoy that was kind of cool. The cars drove by. Someone got stabbed the night before, so there was like 15 cop cars going up and down the whole
Oh
street.
my.
But outside that, I saw more cop cars than I did open businesses the entire weekend I was there. But nonetheless, it was a nice little, early Christmas with the in-laws. Did some games, had our dinner, as much as you can ask for. But I will just, because you've become like a cheap therapist to me, which is kind of nice because my
You
ranting.
mean free
I've got one
therapist?
guy. Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I've got one guy at work who comes in, and I talk football with him. The
Mm.
one big problem with that is he is a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Oh, that's terrible.
And when I mean like this is the last person on earth I wanted to see, this was the last person on earth I
At,
wanted to see.
at work, we have a guy who works in the warehouse who's there's actually two or three of them. They're Cowboys fans, and I've like purposely avoided going into there for the past 2 days because I don't want to speak to them.
Oh yeah, well the problem with me is like I'm sure there's other Eagles fans near you, around you that you can deal with.
That's true.
This dude, like, just I think like he just knows me. I'm the only Eagles fan, I'm sure, in his inner social circle, and sought me out. Really, really, really miserable. But I mean, going off, yeah, obviously we missed last week, and last week I was positive. It was an ugly win. We got destroyed by a team that talked a lot of crap. They stepped up for a big game, and team you'll probably see in the playoffs.
Mm.
Um, and I was okay with it, honestly. I was on my positive train. I was like, you know what? Beat the Cowboys, all's fine. 5-1 in a tough 6-game stretch. It doesn't matter. If you beat the Cowboys, this Niners game literally does not matter.
True.
Whew. Oh. But then I told myself, if we do lose to the Cowboys, then I will be double pissed off because then you will now have the Niners and the Cowboys lost to digest in and try to understand. And not only did we lose, we just got completely embarrassed.
Hmm. Yeah.
Painful,
Uh-huh.
painful, painful. What were give me your thoughts? Because
So,
I got to work up my words here. I think my anger is
so,
spewing out.
so rewind to the beginning of the year when we looked at the schedule. We said, here's this gauntlet, right? That they're going to face starting with bye week, then Dallas. Was it Dallas, Kansas City, Buffalo, San Fran, Dallas, Seattle, right? Seattle will just put in there because home field advantage, whatever. And
Yeah.
we're like, if they come out of that like 3-2, like they're looking good. And they came out of it 3-2. But now, lo and behold, those two losses were probably the worst two teams we could have lost to at this point in the season. Because now San Fran, they're gonna if they don't lose another game, they get the number one seed. As long as if the Eagles win out, they have a shot at it. But and now Dallas is technically in first place in the NFC East, and we had it for 13, 14 weeks and just coughed it up because we played like shit the
Yeah, I
last
mean,
2 weeks.
the seeding is one thing. Like, I mean, I still think they win the division. Like, let's face it, we got to the
I
gauntlet. I don't think Seattle's very good.
Cowboys
Geno Smith probably doesn't
look
play. I don't.
I still the Niners. I was pissed at the Cowboys game, and we did get our ass kicked, but they were getting opportunities. They had a chance to come back in that game multiple times, and they got in their own way. This 49ers game, we just got railed. Like they just came into our house and kicked our ass. Like that game, I think was
They were the better
worse.
team.
Yeah, they are.
It
They
wasn't
are
even close.
right now. They are the better team, and
It's not even close either.
yeah, and even when they like tried to mount a comeback, it was futile. They weren't going to do anything. The Dallas
No.
game, it was bleak in the first half again, and then they just would. I mean, the play calling was still ass, but like they would get down the field, but 3 times in opponent territory, they fucking fumbled the ball. Like AJ
Mm-hmm.
fumbled like what on the 40 or 30. Jalen fumbled on like the 10-yard line. Devontae fumbled on like the 10-yard line. 2 dropped catches by Devontae. Devontae's was a little tougher, but touched his hands. AJ dropped another touchdown. Like the opportunities were there for them to steal that game from the Cowboys when the Cowboys now and give the defense weirdly enough credit in the second half. They kept the Eagles. They gave the offense a chance in the second half. They were ass in the
Yeah,
first. They dug them a hole. I won't lie,
they
but they
couldn't stop
buckled it
anything.
down. I don't think they gave up a touchdown in the second half. The Cowboys have some kicker from fucking Pluto who's just
Yeah,
bombing
he's
shit. That's
wow.
so
He
unfair.
is.
Whenever they had a bad kicker, like they always have good fucking kickers.
I don't know. Brett Maher was pretty ass last year. This guy was
Well, he got old.
legit.
Yeah,
I
he got
mean,
old and injured though. He was good for a long time though.
I think my biggest concern. I mean, yeah, the seeding is pretty concerning because I don't think they're getting the 1 seed. They probably still win the division because
If
Dallas' schedule is really tough.
10-1, and we might end up with the 5th seed, but we would play the AFC or the NFC South, so that's a dub.
I mean,
You would hope.
I'm not. The Cowboys' schedule is pretty tough. I'm not super worried about the
The
division right now.
Chiefs need a win. They are not going to lose to Dallas. Like
No, I mean, you could say the
so,
same thing about Miami. The whole AFC needs to fight, claw, and win these
yeah.
games.
It's crazy. I don't remember the last time I've seen an NFL season where like yes, the 49ers are good right now. They're probably the best team, but there's not a single team that hasn't shown a fluctuation of them being like suspect to not being as good as they looked. Like San Fran dropped 3 fucking straight games and Purdy looked like ass. Let's not forget that. All right, they cleaned it up, but
Yeah,
they still lost those games to people they clearly should have beaten. Eagles,
but here's
scratched by, and now they're getting exposed for the poor play calling
well,
and
hold on,
the
no, hold on.
execution.
Pause right there because this is my real concern. The seeding is
Okay,
secondary issue. This is my real concern. Is all year we were thinking, all right, you know what? Whenever this team finally puts it together, they're going to be dangerous. They're 10-1 and they're barely
I
even
told you
playing
that. It
well. They somehow keep pulling out wins
was like
and
week
they wait
9.
until they get deep. We are now in what, week 14, week
Yep.
13, and we are not even close to putting it together. The coaching is horrendous. You got completely outcoached by Dallas. The
Oh yeah.
Dan Quinn exposed the offense. The defensive plan was just so much better. Our offensive game planning is terrible. And Sirianni needs to figure something out and needs to figure out quick because this whole Brian Johnson experiment is going nowhere. Why is it that I have to hear Chris Collinsworth drool over Dak Prescott 1-2 and out
Here we
all game
go.
1-2? But it's all like, but it's exactly what it is. He's drooling over the West Coast offense. Dak Prescott
Really
takes 1-2
do.
steps and the ball comes out. Why can't we do that? Why can't we get the ball out quickly? Look at what Deebo Samuel does on a weekly basis. They give him the ball 5 yards. They complete a 5-yard pass and the guy takes it. Why can't we do that with AJ Brown? Now, everything we have to do has to be extremely complicated and take forever. And don't be wrong. There's been some games where the talent of the players, I think, simply just overcame the bad play calling. Because I've got to be honest, I don't think the play calling has ever been good this entire season. But then you got games but then the other part of this is your players still haven't really put this together. Your 3 best players on offense fumbled the ball. Unacceptable. That's ridiculous. Look at defense. This secondary is awful.
I don't know what's
Slay, I'll
going on
give a
with them.
pass. Slay looks pretty good. James Bradbury is giving you the production you could have got from a 5th-round draft pick.
Yeah,
Byard, I don't know.
I
I mean, when do we just start saying that he stinks? I mean, I know he's your boy, but he's done nothing. The
nah,
backups you have,
he was all over I wonder what his tackles were. I saw him in a lot of tackles on Sunday.
your corners, you have Slay. Bradbury is awful.
Yeah,
Ricks
Bradbury's
it hasn't
rough.
given you anything. Ringo somehow gets a double penalty I've never seen before in my entire life.
That was
Robley
the
didn't look good.
biggest fucking bull. I will say too, and look, the Eagles deserve to lose that game, but like the refs in that game, like that game was ass for both teams from the refs. Like, let them fucking play. They called every little fucking penalty. It was so annoying. I hate that
Irrelevant
shit.
though. It was going both
No,
ways.
I
But
hate that
there's
shit.
guys, yeah, but there's guys like Hassan Reddick and James Bradbury who you brought back, or well, in Reddick's case, you already had him
Sounds
under
been fine.
contract.
He's
But
got like 12 sacks.
yeah, but you know what? We Reddick in itself is fine, but we still don't get much pressure on the quarterback. And sure, Reddick has his moments, but is it really like Reddick should be able to just draw enough attention to himself that someone else can get there? And I know Josh Sweat has all these quarterback pressures and hurries and all that, but I just feel like we didn't get any pressure on Dak at all. Tyron Smith eliminated Josh Sweat. Reddick had his plays here and there, but the consistent pressure wasn't there. The coverage just got torched. I mean, it was just the ball was coming out quick that day, all day, and the coverage did nothing. I think I'm more infuriated with the offense, to be honest. The defense has their problems, but this offensive performance is insane. How can Jalen Carter be the only one that scores a touchdown in a game you needed? Like, are you kidding me?
I think that cemented his defensive rookie of the year candidacy. But
dude,
you know what? As a fan, what kills me most is that I don't know what they're thinking. Like, I don't know. You had what the 2 years we went to the Super Bowl, it was on the back of what? A phenomenal, strong run game. What is our offensive line's best strength? Their run blocking. Why the fuck does DeAndre Swift have 11 carries every fucking game? He does. They don't give him the ball. They don't establish a run. Then they get down. Then they got to chase at halftime. And they don't run the ball. That's why Jalen is getting exposed and getting stuck. And then he stands in the fucking pocket like a black hole's coming at him. Takes a stupid sack for 3rd and 30. Like,
what happened? Remember earlier in the year, and they didn't look great, but there was moments where they would take a drive and they would just hold the ball for 8 minutes and they would go down the whole field. They would just dink and dunk and they would run the ball and they would just hold the ball and kill the clock.
5 fucking weeks, they ran the ball like crazy and they were so good. They don't run.
But we don't do that anymore. No.
Run.
We set up these elaborate deep passing routes every single play. And unless you're getting like that, Devontae Smith catch that, he dropped that hit his hands, that would have been a hell of a catch. Like, that was not easy. The AJ Brown touchdown, again, would not have been easy.
No,
they've gotten by with some of this.
That's why we pay them.
Dude, but give Jalen Hurts a lot of credit. Some of these balls that he's throwing are in tight coverage. He's holding on to it for very long, and they're there. And Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, sure, did not have great games, but they've made most of those catches. But why are we constantly relying on it? Like, Dallas Goedert, AJ Brown are two guys that are great with the ball in their hand. Just get the ball in their hand, and let's see what happens. Run a bubble screen to AJ Brown. Run a 5-yard slant. Run a tight end screen. Do something that gets the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands, because we never do that. It's all takes so long. It's hold on to the ball. Jalen usually, and this is where Jalen's bad decision-making, I think, comes from this year. Last year, you never saw this because he was constantly making the right decision. He was never turning the ball over. Now he's holding the ball forever.
Yeah.
It's just, the play calling is insane.
I mean, you see it. It's tough. You see it from a lot of the good mobile quarterbacks. Like, Mahomes does it. Josh Allen does it. They hold on the ball forever. And then they're like, I can still make a play. But it just irritates me so much.
But I don't think I really don't think it's much of Jalen Hurts holding on to the ball forever. I think the play's just taking this long to develop.
I think it's a couple of things. For one, I think the play calling is garbage. Two, I think Jalen hasn't been phenomenal with his reads this season, because there is no way that AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert are all covered to the point where you can't get rid of the ball in 3 seconds. Like, that just doesn't make sense.
No, well, when they're running deep routes or running, double moves or these routes
they'll do that. They'll spread the field. But then they'll run bullshit stuff like they did on that last possession they had, or one of the last good possessions they had, where they went for it, where they had 3rd and 13, and they threw a 5-yard out, or a 5-yard hitch to AJ Brown, hoping he would be able to go upfield. They're literally covering for the first down. They don't want you to get anywhere. Got 3 yards.
Yeah,
then they run a fucking out route to Devontae 10 yards away from the fucking first down. What are you doing on 4th down? That's your play. You're not going to go to the marker. Insane. You're going to throw 10 yards away from the fucking marker.
Why wouldn't you do that on 1st or 2nd down? That's what those are plays you run on first, quick, safe, easy, get the ball out of your hand. That's what sets up these drives, running the ball and getting the ball out of their hand quickly. That is what the Cowboys did to you all day. We saw Dak just 1-2, get the ball out of his hand.
He had 11 carries for 40 yards. why did you not keep feeding him the fucking ball? He was getting like 5 yards per clip in the beginning of the game, or whenever they
But it's
started running it. Like,
why can't we
it's
do like the Niners did it to us too? What were we so pissed about with the Niners that we couldn't tackle anyone? Our tackling was so bad. Why do we sign Shaq
we
Leonard?
need
Because our linebackers were an ass. Because you know what? They were stuck in positions where they were doing these quick slants, quick dump offs to getting the ball out quick, and then they basically said, "Go tackle us," and we couldn't do it. And why can't we do that to other teams? Goddard and AJ Brown would be a problem for most defenses to tackle, but no, we run these insane deep ball passes that everyone knows is coming, takes forever to develop, usually gets us nowhere,
Mhm.
and you're relying on miraculous beautiful passes from Jalen and miraculous catches from Devontae Smith and IJ Brown. And don't get me wrong, they are incredible players and they are supposed to make these plays. And I think they actually made a decent amount of them throughout the season. But to rely on this consistently is insane. Like they have nothing exciting. When does anyone go in motion? No one goes in motion. Everyone
they're
else in
the
the league
least
does
they're the
these
least motion
exciting.
team.
We don't do anything.
Yeah, they
We
don't.
just do basic. We show up, we snap the ball, and we do nothing. The most exciting thing we do is a quarterback draw that drives me insane. Because you know what? You get fumbles like you had this week. This offense is there's just in like it doesn't make any sense. And we're in week 14. And we've been saying this all year. Imagine what happens when this team figures it out. They are so talented once they figure out how to call plays or figure out their offensive identity, they're going to be a problem. When is that going to happen? Because you were getting really close to the playoffs and you just got embarrassed by two teams that you have a very good chance of seeing in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't. It was a couple weeks ago, but I said to you, I asked you that question. I said, "Is this team? Are we ever going to see this team bully somebody? Are we going to see them, play to that potential, or are they this scrappy team that can barely find ways to win, but has enough talent to beat the average to bad teams?" And lo and behold, that is what happened. And now they
Oh,
got
they're
to figure
looking
it out.
more. Yeah, but it's just, like, I mean, look at the teams they beat. The Bills, really suspect. The Cowboys, you
No,
beat on the last possible play. The Chiefs, which we're seeing their massive Achilles here, is their wide receivers suck, and that's what cost them the game. The Niners are by far the best team that you've
two
played.
games now.
Yeah, the Niners are by far the best team you've played, and you got embarrassed. And the Cowboys came back, and the Cowboys seem to be finding their groove. They look like a different Cowboys team than the first time you played them, and they went and embarrassed you.
Well,
And
yeah,
your high caliber teams, I think the Cowboys now and the Niners obviously are better than the Chiefs and the Bills, and I would say even the Dolphins. And those level of tiers, those tier one teams, went and embarrassed you.
yeah. I mean, I will say, I think, like I said, the Cowboys they kind of lost gas. I don't know if it's because they didn't feel threatened by the Eagles in the second half, but they kicked 3 field goals. So, like I said, the defense finally buckled down, but it was too late.
Exactly, it
Um,
was too late, but they were conservative at that point.
but
They
it was
weren't
funny
really
because
good.
I mean, like I'm not gonna defend the Eagles because they play like garbage, but like Dak Prescott was like, "Oh, I played poorly in the second half. We should have put 50 on them." I'm like, "Yeah, and the Eagles should have scored 3 fucking touchdowns, but we're not doing shoulda, woulda, couldas." Like
Yeah, but you know what?
it's
I think there was a better chance of them scoring 50 than we did at scoring 3 touchdowns.
probably.
Sirianni needs to figure something out quickly because you got outclassed, outcoached by the last two games.
When's the last
And
when
see,
when was the last time we said that about Sirianni in losses? Dallas 49ers, and when was the last game?
was the Jets.
No, Super Bowl.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah. But
So and you know what
I'm
the problem
too.
is? Like they can have all the talent in the world. A coach like this, and this is way out in left field. This is like a 2% chance thing, but I don't want this to become a Doug Peterson thing where the coach fits the city and everyone likes him, but shit just derails because something happens.
I
Now,
mean,
obviously, there was quarterback situations in that, but like a coach like Sirianni will, I don't know how he will do and the team will do and the fans will do if there's failures like this. Like we're still a good team. We're gonna make playoffs. Like let's cool the Jets, but like with this much talent, if we do this shit next year and like, go like 8-7 or some shit, like, and then they can't get back to the top, then we're gonna have some problems. But They need, and I don't want them to lose to have to understand what their problem is. But if they don't come out against Seattle, and maybe we're playing Drew Lock, who fucking knows? And Seattle's a good team. Like they've lost a couple games in a row though, but
Oh, if you can't beat Seattle, then we have a
they
big old
need to,
problem.
if they can pummel Seattle in their house, they'll win my trust back a little bit here.
No,
But
no,
like
no, no, no. Do
I
not. No, no. You're
need
being way too easy. No, no, no. Because nothing they can really do. I expect them to beat the Seahawks, especially
they
if,
need to
if Geno
they
Smith doesn't
should
play.
win out. Period.
Well, yeah, they have to win
But
out.
I'm saying I need to see. I don't want like Eagles win 30-23. Like they need to put like 40 on the Seahawks, and they need to
I
score like
here's
10.
so here's my thing. Going back to Sirianni, leaving the Super Bowl alone, because I mean that was a different. Steichen was here and all that, and Steichen looking pretty good.
He
I
should
mean,
have
he's
left
got
his
his backup
fucking.
quarterback.
He should have left his fucking playbook behind because Brian Johnson doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Well, this is my point with Sirianni. Look at a team like the Bills. Very competitive. They weren't
Are
eliminated,
we the new
but
Bills?
things weren't going the right way. They made the tough decision, of course, to do it in a year, when you're supposed to be really good and you were still in playoff contention, to fire their offensive coordinator in the middle of the season. And that's exactly what they did. Look at the Cowboys.
They won't fire
Their offense
Johnson.
wasn't very impressive last year. They could never figure out what to do in the passing game without with missing that number 2 wide receiver. McCarthy took over the play calling responsibilities this year. Those moves both worked out really well. The Bills offense looks much better now. The Cowboys offense has been very solid, minus a few stinkers here and there throughout this year, but I think they're much better than last year. I think it's time. I think this Brian Johnson experiment has gone on for long enough that Sirianni now needs. I'm not saying you fire the guy because obviously you're 10-3. You're not going to fire him in the middle of the season. That'd be insane. But Sirianni has got to start putting his fingerprint on this offense. I think Sirianni is a good coach. I think he's a good offensive mind. I think he's a big part of building what we have offensively, but he's now got to take over the reins because my patience with this Brian Johnson offensive play calling is completely gone because this offense is nothing like it should be. These insane plays that take way too long to develop, the lack of running the ball, it needs to stop. They need to make a change, and I think he's the first one that needs to do it.
The problem is too, I don't see Brian Johnson going anywhere unless internally Sirianni and his staff think, or it comes down from like Jeff Lurie, that he can't keep play calling because they have too many ties to each other. He's got too many ties to Jalen. They're not just going to kick him to the curb after 1
Listen,
year.
I don't care. You don't have to say, Sirianni's taking a play. I really don't care what they say. You have to now implement or have more of a flourish because let's be honest.
I'm just telling you,
it's the same. Is this play calling any different than what you saw in the first 3 weeks when you were pissed off and yelling at it? I don't think so. It looks nothing like it did last year. I need more of last year.
Well,
and I think Sirianni needs more of a voice in here. Maybe he is. I really doubt it because this Brian Johnson led offense has been consistent, and we've been complaining about the same thing since week 1 as we are now. But it never improved. It never got better. Nothing's changed, and it has to change.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know. I mean, we had defensive players. Someone, anonymous player, called out the play calling and said that it was too predictable. So,
I mean, because it is. It's the same stuff we've been bitching about since
like
week 1.
you can't like they're not going to open a whole new playbook. Like this is what they have. So I just don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why it's like this. I don't know if it's vanilla because he's a new play caller. I don't know if it's vanilla because they don't trust Jalen to make the right reads. I don't know what it is, but
why would
you?
No. Jalen has already proved last year that he's more than capable of handling the offense.
No, I agree, but I heard like a year or two ago about them making the playbook simpler for him so that he didn't have to go through as many progressions or something like that. But I mean,
that was a year or two ago. That was ages ago. We've been, this guy, Jalen is more than capable. I think we're holding him back. Why don't we? Because I think we're completely holding him back. Look at this. The only run plays we run with him are quarterback draws. And sure, the first one actually worked. Second one, he fumbled the ball. Every other one this whole season never goes anywhere.
Work or when he audibles and takes the fucking snap and runs himself. The design runs never fucking work.
But just if you had a quick hitting offense like Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott run, I'm more than confident that Jalen Hurts can make the correct read and get the ball out of his hands and get it to someone that's open. If we go to a quick hitting offense, I don't think Jalen Hurts is just throwing interceptions or
It
holding onto
it
the ball. I
and
think he
it
gets the ball out of his hands.
and it
But we
doesn't
don't
make
run that.
sense. It doesn't make sense with the talent on this team that they aren't this explosive offense like they were last year. Like it doesn't make sense. And then like you're not going to be explosive. Why can't you be effective running the ball? Why don't you run the ball? I just
It's
I just
because it
don't
is boring.
know.
We
And
just know like
I'm hoping
everything
these two
takes so long. It's deep
losses
passes. It's insane. Nothing changes.
and I'm hoping these two losses like help you because everything that and I normally I listen to a lot of the press conferences and the player interviews, but I haven't this year for some reason. But I'm just like I'm hoping that somebody's gonna fucking step up because I love Jalen, but he says the same bullshit every fucking week. Oh, it's a learning opportunity. Well, you're not learning. You guys are doing the same shit week after week. And Sirianni just talks out of his ass. He's terrible in press and interviews, but that's besides the point. But Fletcher Cox was the one that was like, "Hey, look, we just got fucking kicked in our mouth back to back weeks, so we need to do
Yeah.
better. We need to figure out what's going on." And honestly, Fletch and Jalen Carter were like the best players on that team on Sunday, and that's saying something. Fletch out
Because you
here
know
causing
what?
trouble, and you can't get
I mean,
our offense to convert a fucking touchdown. Like, come on
the
now.
defense pretty much did exactly what they do every single week. They were abysmal the first half. Then they woke up and then they started playing well. Too bad the offense couldn't figure that out.
I mean,
They
what,
were
33
abysmal the whole
points
game.
to one of the highest scoring offenses in the league? I'll take that. Where's our offense? They should have
Well,
fucking
I don't know.
been right with them.
I don't know if I'm going to give them a gold star for 33 points. That's a little excessive.
I know, but you would think a Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, you know, uh, Dallas
I think
Goddard, DeAndre Swift offense should score fucking points.
the defense the whole year has been inconsistent because there has been
Yes.
times where they've stepped up massively. The offense has had the same problem consistently. It's this insane play calling that is so boring and just gets us nowhere. Like you're basically running an offense where you are putting extremely talented players in bad positions. The best coaches take very good players or okay players and put them in great positions to succeed. Look at any of them. Look at what Brock Purdy's doing. Do you really think Brock Purdy's great? I don't. Look at Miami. Guys like Raheem Mostert, A-Chain. Obviously, Tyreek Hill's awesome, but they're running the ball so well. They have offensive coaches that put their players in a position to succeed. Jared Goff did it many years. I think the offensive coordinator with the Lions is pretty good. McVay did great with Goff. But we don't
And
do that. We put really talented players in positions to fail. We make Jalen hold the ball forever, and we make AJ Brown, Devontae Smith have to make extremely difficult catches because it's all deep routes that everyone sees coming.
and last point on the Eagles because we need to move on. But what does that tell you about the coaching staff when we have arguably one of the top 5 most talented rosters in the league?
That they're not putting in a position to succeed. That's exactly what it's telling me. Like they've been doing all year. I think there's a lot of games that they won because the talent was too good,
And
where the
granted,
coaching held them back, but the talent was too good.
this is still a young coaching staff, but you got all the way to the Super Bowl last year. You set your own expectations. You need to be better. Like this isn't acceptable. This isn't a dog mentality football team. This isn't a football team that looks like they're going to go back to the Super Bowl. Like they'd be lucky to win a playoff game right now. Like
I mean, I'm confused by is like Brian Johnson was brought in like he was an in-house promotion. This guy was here the entire run last year.
And we were excited for it.
Yeah, well, I thought we were going to get more of the same.
I thought we were going to build off the in the making, and it's been.
I thought we were going to build off the
better.
I thought we were going to build off the offense we were running last year so effectively. This year we've run a completely different offense that is so boring, really does not play to anyone's strengths, and it's insane. And you got blown out by 2 teams you're going to see in the playoffs if you're lucky to go that far, and exposed you. And I don't know, man. I'm just so tired of waiting. Oh, this team's going to be so good once they figure it out. Or imagine how good they'll be. They're 10-1 and they're still struggling. Yeah. Nothing's changed. It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing since week 1.
But alas, there were other games. That wild fucking weekend of football. A lot of upsets. starting off, I guess you consider this an upset. Thursday night, Patriots beat the Steelers 21-18 with who were the fucking quarterbacks in that game? It was like Mitch Trubisky and Zappy. The fuck
Not gonna
is
lie.
this?
One of my bold predictions: Mike Tomlin finishes with a losing record. We're a little alive. We're looking okay. We're looking okay. We're looking okay.
I think CJ Stroud got hurt in this game, but the Jets blew out the Texans 30-6.
CJ Stroud did get hurt in that game, but still, I don't know what happened to the Texans defense.
The fact that the rumor came out that the Jets they asked Zach Wilson to be the starter, and he was like, "Nah, I'm cool." And then he ended up starting because the quarterback got hurt, and he threw like what two or three touchdowns in that game, and actually looked decent.
Yeah.
He comes alive when his back's against the wall, and then he can't hold on to it for the rest of the season. But Ravens and the Rams went into overtime. Ravens won 37-31 on a punt return touchdown?
Punt return, yeah. You always like to see a special teams plays makeup. John Harbaugh, I got to say, they always are really good at special teams. That's just like
he was the Eagles special teams coach, so it makes sense.
But still, I'm a fan of special teams. It's nice, it's nice to see it every once in a
while. The Panthers continue to be the most miserable team in the league. Lost to the Saints 28-6.
That's a tough situation. I don't really know what's going on with the Panthers.
Nothing good.
I mean, would you rather have Caleb Williams or Bryce Young as prospects? Ignore everything Bryce Young did as a pro this year.
I mean, Caleb Williams has had his slumps this season with USC, but I don't know. I might go Caleb Williams.
Yeah, it's tough. And Carolina Panthers are going to be pretty upset about that too when that happens. And the Bears get a chance to do it. So
they can just pull a Washington and draft 2 starting quarterbacks like when they had RG3 and Kirk Cousins.
Unfortunately, they can't. They can watch Chicago do it instead.
That's right. Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, that's right. Bengals beat the Colts 34-14. I don't know how this happened.
Jake Browning, man.
He's actually not been bad.
He played really well. I mean, I was shocked. He played good last week. He was actually on my stud list last week.
Yeah, a lot of teams that needed to win to hold their position lost. Like this was a huge week for standings. Speaking of standings, the Bucks claimed first place in the dreadful NFC South. They beat the Falcons 29-25 after. Did you see Goldberg came out and speared some guy for the Falcons game?
What? No.
Yeah,
how did that get missed?
He was like, I think it was the opening ceremony of the Falcons game. He came out of the tunnel and they just like fucking speared this guy. It was probably like planned, everything. But it looked like just some random fan got like just tackled.
I love everything about that.
What else happened? The Browns beat the Jags 31-27. I mean, you could tell Trevor Lawrence was still hurt from that ankle. He did not look great. But
Joe Flacco,
baby. So got an injection of youth in him.
Can I want to bring up one thing curious now, because Joe Flacco is obviously showing some success. I mean, knocks off the Jags, I think, had the number 1 overall seed. When everyone was screaming at Saleh to sign a veteran quarterback and they had no interest in doing it. Mm-hmm. I mean, Joe Flacco, how many games does Joe Flacco win with the Jets this year? Are the Jets in playoff contention if they sign Joe Flacco when Rodgers gets hurt?
I mean, I don't know. But they're bad. They're not a good team. I would say no.
No? Okay, fair enough.
I think, look, we just have a good defense, but like,
yeah, their offensive line is brutal. They're not good.
If Saleh is supposed to be this amazing coach, what's he coaching them to do?
I mean, the defense is definitely not the problem.
I know, and you don't have a quarterback, so I mean, I can't fault them, but just curious. The Bears beat the Lions 28-13.
Did not see this one coming. I'm really.
All of a sudden, Justin Fields is playing like a decent quarterback.
So, yeah, obviously this will be a nonstop conversation, especially this year. I mean, last year it kind of was a little bit, but this year it'll be nuts. Yes or no? We'll wait for another day to get deep into it. Yes or no? Justin Fields is the Bears' starting quarterback next year.
I think at this point,
let me rephrase that. Next, the Bears draft a quarterback in the first round.
I don't think so.
No,
No.
fair enough. Fair enough.
That's. I think what you have in Fields is enough. If you keep building around him, there's a chance that he could keep developing. I mean, it's tough, but like the draft capital you'll get from trading those picks or holding on to them and
I
taking
know
a
it's gonna be wild.
super talented player, like it's gonna be
I
crazy.
mean, look what they got for Bryce Young. I mean, everyone's gonna be drooling about Caleb Williams. They're gonna have. I mean, could you imagine getting the same
King's
exact
Hall.
package? Like that'd be. They could be some serious contention. It'd be interesting to see with all the money they have for HC. It'd be a very, very interesting.
And then 49ers held on against the Seahawks and drew Lock 20-16. I mean, the Seahawks were really going to win that game, but they had a little late push there. But 49ers are in first place in the NFC, so that's fun.
They look good.
Yeah, they are a little scary. But they're the 49ers, and they will find a way to lose in the NFC Championship game. So
Can only hope.
the Vikings continue to be must-see TV or must-avoid TV because they and the Raiders were tied 0-0 up until 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
That was really weird. I've never seen a game like that.
I thought my phone was. I thought like I was looking on fantasy because it'll on ESPN it'll show you the scores of the games. I thought my phone was like glitching because it's at 0-0 with like no time left in the fourth quarter. I was like, that can't be right. Refreshed and it still said 0. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, definitely a game I wasn't really dying to see.
Yeah. Broncos beat the Chargers 24-7. Broncos, I guess, are kind of legit, and Chargers are absolute doo-doo. Justin Herbert
I mean,
out for the year now.
it's
So
when it rains, it pours.
yeah, that's a
I'm not
wrap on
listen.
them.
I'm buying into the Broncos. They're I don't know how much noise they're going to make, but they'll make the playoffs. Staley, what do we think?
He's got to get the axe.
Definitely,
He's
yeah,
gotta
I
get
think
the
so
axe.
too.
And then especially when you're a defensive coach and you're getting throttled every week on defense, yeah.
That's true. We got a franchise quarterback. And
And the Broncos with that win are now a game behind the Chiefs for their division. After the Chiefs lost against the Bills 20-17 in a game where I don't know if you got to see it or if you've seen the replays. The Chiefs tried to do like a trick. Well, they did like a lateral trick play, whatever, which I guess would have either scored or got them down to like close to the end zone. And
well, he scored. Literally
he did
scored.
score. Yeah, I forgot. And then but Kadarius Toney was offsides by like a mile. And I've never seen Pat Mahomes screaming and kicking and yelling like that before over a referee call.
Good.
And
I loved it.
I like Mahomes, but like that was pretty classless on his part because he said in the post game interviews, like, you never want a small, a game on the line call like that to happen. And I'm like, hello, that did we not see that in the Super Bowl? Did Bradbury not get a super questionable hold on that would have sealed the Eagles' chance to come back in the game?
No, I don't care. I don't care
Weird.
what he says. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I screwed the Chiefs. I don't feel bad for them at all. How many times do we get called offsides whenever we want to do the push tush because Goodell doesn't like it? I don't care. He was offsides. I mean, what do you want to do? He literally was offside. This wasn't a holding call or like a PI.
No,
This
he
was a
was.
very much he was offsides.
Someone
I loved
joked.
it.
They
Loved
were like,
every second of it.
they're like he was so offsides that instead of the Chiefs, the Bills should have gotten called for 12 men on the field because
Hey
like,
man, listen. I mean,
apparently they had illegal formation too, so they could have gotten 2 penalties. But
I will give them this that between the D Ford game and I guess the Kadarius Toney game, they got to work on offsides and onsides. Maybe practice on that line of scrimmage.
Also, how is Kadarius Toney like kryptonite to the Eagles, but every other team he plays, he literally cost the Chiefs game.
Like he stinks. He's not good.
I hate that gremlin.
Yeah, see.
And of course, we already touched on the Eagles and the Cowboys. The Eagles lost 33-13. And then we had two Monday night games, which nope, I don't think we got any explanation to why we did, but um, both upsets, Giants and Tommy Cutlets, or so what they're calling them apparently, um, led the Giants three straight wins. They beat the Packers 24-20. Just when we
Wild.
thought Jordan Love and the Packers were legit, or at least not legit, but like better than we thought, then they fall flat. And Titans, Will Levis throwing deep balls to D Hop,
Did not see that one coming.
beat the
I
Dolphins
gotta say,
20-27.
I was because the timing lined up. One of the games I think was earlier, so like I had both Monday night games on while I was like before I went to bed, and I was like, I have like literally no interest in these games. Like they both like just don't excite me. I don't think they're very good. Dolphins, I thought were gonna be a blowout. The Giants and Packers both stink. Both very good games. Both really went down to the wire.
I'm not gonna
I
lie,
uh
I was still depressed from the Eagles. I didn't give a fuck. I didn't watch either game.
that did play in my
Yeah,
mind.
it
But
soured it.
it is what it is. But speaking of depression, obviously I don't even have to ask you what mood you're in because we know exactly which way we're going to start this
I
one.
mean, I will allow a rule break if you want to put three Eagles players on the duds. I might allow that.
Well, see, I mean, I do. I mean, I will clarify. I mean, I do actually try to keep the Eagles off the stud and dud list. There are times when they deserve it. Don't get me wrong. This week
I
they
mean, AJ
absolutely
Brown should have
deserve
been
it.
on it a couple times that you
Yeah,
gave
but you
him.
know what? We spend so much time talking about the Eagles. It'll just be like repeating the same things I already said. I try
Look
to
at
come up with
you
original.
thinking smart. Look at that.
I mean, listen, I've been on his episode for 100 or whatever amount of episodes we've been doing.
We're
I've
probably close
learned
to
you need to
200 by
catch up.
now. Yeah.
You need to catch up, my friend. You need to show some
I stopped
development.
counting them after 150, so now we just go in blind.
I pick
But
up on the entertainment value. Yeah, so that's why, but don't get me wrong. Yeah, I could have three duds on the Eagles this list. Bradbury could be on there. Any of the offensive superstars that had a fumble. Brian Johnson, I mean, I think he's almost like the Zach Wilson at this point. I feel like in most weeks I should put him on, but it's a low-hanging fruit. But needless to say, since we do talk so much about the Eagles, I usually keep him off this list.
yeah.
But let's roll right into it.
Okay.
So I'm actually gonna go with someone that I think everyone has fallen in love with, who's getting a lot of heavy coach of the year can talk.
On the dud list?
But I mean, man, like you want to talk about falling down in a game you should win against the Chicago Bears who stink. You have a chance at the number one overall seed now that we lost, and you completely lay an egg. And it's one thing not to get your guys ready or have a game plan that makes sense. Dan Campbell, like, dude, I get your gambling Dan Campbell and all or whatever, but dude, 4th and 10 on the Chicago 35, you go for it. 4th and 17 on the Chicago 38, you go for it. Like,
Just
what are you
false.
thinking? Like, I don't even know who the kicker is for the Lions, but how bad could he be? Like, you're talking about you went for a 4th and 10 instead of a 52-yard field goal. 4th and 17. I mean, that's a little further, but it's a 55-yard field goal. These like aren't that obscure field goals. Like, goddamn, the Cowboys kicker was kicking. He could have made one from 70 yards. I really, really did not get that at all. I mean, like, and especially when you're playing like the Bears, I'm sorry. And don't get me wrong, they put up 28 points, which is, I mean, got to be one of the highest amount they put up all year. But
Easy worse
have
on a
some
good year.
faith in your team. Their defense stinks, but dude, it's the Bears. Like, I don't think you need to take these unnecessary risks. It's not like you're going in a shootout against like the Dolphins or the Niners or whatever. And points are super valuable. Field goals aren't going to work. Did not get that one at all. So Dan Campbell, for one, not getting his team ready to play a bad team, a bad divisional team
I
in a
will
week you really need that win, and going for some really ridiculous fourth downs. He's the first dud.
I will say you just remind me of something that I saw the other day. Do you remember like Tosh Point oh?
Of course, UCF great.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know he went to UCF. Um he he's like recently like come back to the internet, I guess, and he was talking about the Eagles, and he's like how many he's like do you guys know how many yards per rush Jalen Hurts gets when he does a tush push? So he usually gets like 3 yards. He's like, now imagine instead of running any other play, the Eagles only do a tush push the entire the entire game, and it just like gets all the way down to what 4th and 1, and then they get the first down. He said it would be the greatest game ever and it would take the longest. It would be the longest fucking game because it'd just be the same fucking play over and over again.
I mean, I think there
I
are
didn't know
some
he had
points,
sport takes,
and
but I was here. I was for it. You know,
not really sure how this transitioned from Dan Campbell, but I mean, I see where you're going
I was
with.
thinking of
But
the fourth down, and then I thought tush push, and then yeah,
yeah, I don't know if 4th and 17
continue.
tush push is working. So
It's
yeah.
light.
Uh so yeah, well, we covered the Lions who had a chance, I mean, at least to be in the conversation in the number one overall seed after the
They would
way,
have
some of
been
the
what 10-3 with everyone else.
yeah, pretty much
What
would have
about a
been a three-way tie.
four-way? Yeah,
I don't know what the tiebreaker looks like with them, but yeah, so let's go to
interesting
another
foursome.
team that dropped a rough one and could have also found their way at the first overall seed.
We're doing whole
But
teams.
instead they went against the big old Joe Flacco and lost. And Joe Flacco out-tooled their franchise quarterback.
Well, the
So
Jags will
Mr.
jag.
28 of 50, 257, three interceptions. I know he had three touchdowns, but the three interceptions was tough to get past. So we're going to go with Mr. Trevor Lawrence here, who got outdone by Joe Flacco
As
in
much
a
as
game that the Jaguars really needed.
I like Trevor Lawrence, that man is an interception machine. Like
He's on Josh
he
Allen. He's
he's
borderline Josh Allen.
slinging that shit.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He's definitely hurt. I think I
Oh
admire
yeah,
him playing through it, but
he's kind of been hurt all year, to be honest, from what I heard. Like
he gives you like the Justin Herbert always hurt vibe, but also the Josh Allen is reckless with the ball vibe.
yeah, but I like his tough. He's tough. He's a tough player. I like it, but yeah, he's got to be better.
So first dud, and this one brings me great joy because I think he's actually was on the first dud a couple weeks ago for something similar, but
Oh,
someone we touched on already, the gremlin of the NFL, and I hate the Chiefs. I mean, we already touched on this, so I don't have we
not
don't
to
have to
mention he
get
was a
too far
former
into it.
Giant. Like,
We even don't have to get too far in this, but like it's kind of amazing because it was a touchdown. It would have won them the game. And not only was it a touchdown that would have won the game, it was like one of the best plays all year.
yeah,
And I love that none of it mattered because he could not line up on correctly on before the play. So Kadarius Toney, who brought joy to me and pain to all other Chiefs fans. And you know what? I live for the Mahomes. You know what? Screw Mahomes. I don't feel bad for him. I'm glad. I
I don't
love the
feel bad
foul.
for him,
Good.
but
Call it more. So Kadarius Toney finds his way as number one done this week. We can all cheers to that.
yeah, fuck him.
Cheers. All right, moving on.
Right.
I wouldn't say I'm in a good mood, but we have
Yeah,
to try to be.
let's get the happy thoughts out there now.
This one, this one was tough because I'm not gonna lie, not a great week for studs. Some weeks are better than others. This was not a
Wow,
great
to
one.
be
No one
honest,
really,
yeah.
there wasn't much scoring. Some bad teams won. And now I will say the third dud, there had to be someone from this game. Ayuk had 126 yards, McCaffrey had 145. I think logically the only one that would make sense is Debo, who had 7 for 149 a touchdown. But I'm really starting to despise Debo. He
Uh,
really is so annoying. So
Now you are? I fucking can't stand him.
yeah, he's just
I
really
didn't like him
irritating
when I
me.
left him off our top 10 list like a year or two ago when I said he's not a top 10 wide receiver. Can't stand
So
that man.
screw Debo. I'm gonna go with Christian McCaffrey at our third dud. And I mean, I don't
Which
really want to do
which
this.
145 yards for him, that's like a regular game.
It really is. I mean, but if you think it's a 9.1 yards per carry, that's insane.
That's why he was in our top three. He's
I
different.
mean, 16 for 145, that's nuts.
I still think he should get MVP. I don't think it should go to
I
it
think
probably should go to Purdy. I don't want to hear I don't care about all these extra stat bullshits. And
this will be no, this will be the most like we all know it's a quarterback award. This will be the real telling year because Tyreek Hill has an incredible case. Christian McCaffrey also has a very strong case, and the quarterbacks do not have any cases. It's a
yeah.
down year for Mahomes. Normally, they could just shovel, Mahomes or Rodgers and Brady. They've done it a couple times where they're like, "Well, fuck it, we'll just give it to one of them." Mahomes doesn't look great. Burrow's hurt. Tua's inconsistent, but I mean, the fact that Purdy's name is mentioned, Jalen Dak's name is mentioned, like, oh,
I mean that
it has to
all
be
right,
someone
Dex,
else.
he's got good numbers though. He's played well like of late. So I'm not I don't have a problem with him being in the conversation, but Purdy is just like I don't He
No,
doesn't
it's
do like I watch him. He doesn't really do anything special. He just fucking throws to elite level player. I mean, look, Jalen has elite level players too, but like Jalen's got to make moves. He's got to make plays. He throws.
no. See, the difference between the Niners and the Eagles is that the Niners run plays so that they can get their elite level players the ball quickly, easily, and let them make elite level players plays. The Eagles instead like to run complicated plays that involve our elite level players doing a whole bunch of nonsense and then trying to make absurd catches or having our quarterback throw absurd passes. But we divulged on that. I just don't want to get distracted.
I was gonna
So
say
Christian McCaffrey
I saw a
is
video
our
real quick. I
third
saw
stud.
I saw a video of it was like here's Purdy's MVP highlight tape, and it was him throwing out routes on the line of scrimmage and 2 yard slants.
That's all he does.
That's all he does.
So this one,
Hmm.
second stud, I gotta say the number one and number two are kind of revivals. Because up until this week, I like almost completely forgot that DeAndre Hopkins was in the league, let alone on the Titans. But he came out and he played well. He had 7 receptions for 124 and a touchdown. And I mean, he had the game-winning catch to brought him down the field to kick that field goal at the end. What a comeback, by the way. And Levis looks like he might have some juice, but DeAndre Hopkins, more than anything, is being revitalized with since Levis has
I
took
was
over.
gonna say I haven't watched much of Will Levis, but it seems like he's like doing okay. Like
I'll give a lot
DeAndre's
of
a
credit to
rookie,
DeAndre
so
Hopkins, man.
yeah.
It's we've seen it a lot with Tyreek going to the Dolphins, AJ Brown going to the Eagles. Big time play like wide receivers help quarterbacks, young quarterbacks a lot.
Oh
DeAndre
yeah.
Hopkins lately, the DeAndre Hopkins in this game looked like an elite level DeAndre Hopkins wide receiver that he's been before. He made plays, he won that game. I was very surprised. So DeAndre Hopkins, well deservingly, and I give him a lot of credit because it's been a really relevant year for him. We're gonna as my number two stud.
Okay. There's number one.
This one warms my heart. Honestly, it does.
Okay.
Because he's been beaten on so much. He's been on the dud list numerous times. We got to the point where I just wouldn't put him on the dud list anymore because it was getting old and tired, and I don't want to kick him on down. But my man came out and put up a 30 burger, 27 of 36, 300 passing yards, and two tutties, no interceptions. Played a very solid game. He had 12 rushing yards. He did lose one fumble, but we're ignoring that right now. Zach Wilson, man, getting a big win after
Number
all the
one
all the
stud. Wow.
rumors,
It really is a weird week.
all the rumors about how he doesn't want to play for the Jets. He's so
Funny
burnt
enough, he
out. Da,
still
da, da,
doesn't.
da. Well, yeah, sure, but he came out there and he's been getting a lot of, he's getting just destroyed a lot because he's in a New York media that had Super Bowl hopes, but it's not his fault. Aaron Rodgers got hurt. But Zach Wilson, man, went out there, played really well, and they beat a good team. I mean, Texans, we've been talking about the Texans each week. We get more and more, credit to their name. The Jets came out and they won a good game. Good for Zach. So it warms my heart to say this, but I'm going with our number one stud, Zach Wilson.
Crazy. Never would have thought.
It's a wild time.
Alrighty. Well, nice little segue here. We're gonna stick with our cooked or simmering because this is kind of like we're in the playoffs. We're trying to figure out which teams are doing well here. So let's start with an interesting one here. Cooked or simmering? The 7-6 Cincinnati Bengals. All of a sudden, right there in the wild card conversation.
You know what? I'm gonna say they're simmering. Brownings
Oh,
looks.
okay.
I mean, listen, we saw this with Josh Dobb, played a couple good games, won a couple games, and then fell back to earth, became backup quarterback. But the Bungles have a ton of offensive talent. Chase, Higgins, Mixon, a solid offensive line. There's worse quarterbacks that I think could have success in this offense. The defense has got players. I think Emirano, the defense coordinator, is very good. I think this team's very much alive. They're missing the quarterback, of course, but Browning's doing enough. I don't know if they're going to make any noise, but I definitely think they can make the playoffs.
Hmm. All right. Looking
Well,
at
hell, and the other part is, I mean, Herbert's out now. It seems like half the AFC has lost their starting quarterback.
oh yeah, it's wild. AFC South. We'll leave the Jaguars alone because they're in first place. But I want you to tell me you got to pick one team is cooked, one team is simmering. 7-6 Colts, 7-6 Texans. Both have lost. Both lost last week. But which is cooked, which is simmering.
You know what? I'm gonna go with it might be an unpopular one. I'm gonna say the Texans are cooked.
Oh, wow.
They're listen, they are outperforming all of our expectations. No one saw the Texans being this good. And don't get me wrong, CJ Stroud and D'Amico Ryans are having a very good year. But this team was so bad last year. Like their roster stinks. They lost to what's his face, Tank Dell, who was having an incredible year. Like they're relying a lot on young guys. Tank Dell's out. CJ Stroud's I don't know what the diagnosis is, but he's hurt. They've already overperformed a ton. I think that it might be unrealistic to think it's going to keep happening. I'm not going to say the Titans are going to go on a run here, but Levis looks solid. You got guys like Henry, you got guys like Hopkins who can step up at any moment. Um, Vrabel is a coach that's been there. He brings out the best of them. I think D'Amico is a very good coach, but Vrabel's done this before. I think the Titans are probably more likely to go a little bit further than the Texans.
And my last one is kind of intriguing. Um, Quarterback is back with them. He's playing better. They've won 2 in a row, and they're only, a game or two out from the last wild card spot. Chicago Bears, cooked or
No,
simmering?
no, no, I'm not buying it. No, cooked. I'm not buying this.
Yeah, no,
Well, we can move
I
on.
was just
They're a bad
curious.
team.
I was
This just
curious.
makes that win against the Lions was more of an indictment on the Lions than it was the Bears. This is why Campbell was a dud.
Okay. Well, there you have it, folks. Now, I really don't want to do power rankings because I know who we have to put at number one now. It probably would have been number one last week if we did an episode. But the 49ers, they got to be number one here. The question
Yeah.
is, how far do we drop the Eagles?
I mean, a couple other teams lost. That was pretty,
They're
you
still
know,
top 10, but
no, but they got blown out twice. So I would drop them. I would actually put the Ravens at number two. I like the Ravens. I think the
okay.
Ravens are a real team. I think they're players. I mean, look at your other powerhouses. Chiefs, Dolphins, they all lost.
I got to say
Lions, they lost.
Dallas at 3 too. Like,
Uh,
who else you putting in
no,
there? Not Detroit, not
no. I
Miami, not
mean,
Jacksonville.
are we putting Dallas over the Eagles?
Right now, I think we have to.
I like that.
Is this not crazy that we just shat on the Eagles for like half an hour? They got blown out twice, but we're about to put them at still top 5 team in this league. Like that's how crazy the season is this year. There's so much
I
parity. Like
mean,
nobody's a standout team.
well, I think the Eagles, yeah, this comes back to more of the Eagles won a lot of those games that we thought was because they were good, and maybe it was just some things went their way. But
I
fine,
mean, you win, you
Dallas
win.
Eagles, that's your top
Yeah,
four.
Eagles at 4. Oh my, I don't even know who to put at 5.
I'd probably say the Chiefs.
Okay, Chiefs over the Bills. Bills just beat them.
Yeah, yeah, but the Bills, they have bigger problems.
So Bills next.
Yeah, I still think the Chiefs are a better team. Plus, that wasn't a blowout. Like, it's hard for me to argue that the Eagles should be better than the Cowboys when they got their ass handed to
Sure.
them.
7 Detroit. They're still good. I just think they
Now, you know what? I take the Bills, then Detroit. Detroit, man, I don't know. That's a game you don't lose. You do not lose to the Bears. Plus, their defense is so bad.
yeah,
And that's been a problem all year, but they've been able to
supposed to
match
be
it with their
better.
offense.
8 Miami.
Miami's okay. I can live with Miami.
9 and 10. I don't. Broncos, I guess, right? Broncos at 9.
Yeah, Browns. Where are you on the Browns? Elite defense,
You know
Joe
what?
Flacco.
I would put the Browns at 9 and then Broncos at 10.
I can live with that.
Okay. I like that list. All right. And now on to our game picks, which if you thought the Eagles were miserable, wait till I tell you how I did. So we'll start off with the guests. So I'm Tyrell, who did a couple of our NBA episodes. He was guest picking. He went 5 and 10. Not great.
Off.
You went 7-8, close to
Respectful.
500, but no,
I mean,
not
I'd
not
win. I
good.
would win the AFC South.
You were in the NFC South.
That's what I meant.
Um,
Yeah.
and then me, of all people, 4-11.
Brutal.
I have a 1 game lead on you now. That's how bad I did. I went
Wow,
4 and
4-11.
11.
That is awful.
Well, I picked the Chargers. I picked the Chiefs. I picked the Eagles. I picked the Dolphins. I picked the Packers. I picked the Lions, the Colts, the Jags, the Steelers, the Falcons.
Now we didn't do an episode last week, so
It's not
maybe,
good.
maybe you were trying to change stuff. Maybe you were going to tell me, "Hey, I'm going to purposely try to get as many wrong as I can, just to see how I do." Because I guess in a weird way, if you're going to pick a winner, if you pick a loser, it's kind of the same idea.
I suppose. But yeah, it was not good. No bueno. No bueno. But alas, we move on. So week 15. Holy shit. This season, I mean, Christmas is in 2 weeks.
Seriously,
Um, we're going to be in playoffs in what, a couple weeks. Fantasy football playoffs are starting this week for a lot of leagues. I did great in 3 of them, terrible in 1 of them. We only talk about it. But let's get into it. Week 15. We have a Thursday game. Chargers and Raiders.
jeez. So you're
I
talking about a
mean,
team that just scored 0 points, or a team that just lost their quarterback?
I'm taking, I was about to say Oakland. That's how
Oh,
bad
yeah,
these teams are.
yeah.
Taking
Oh, yeah,
Vegas.
yeah, yeah. Who is the Chargers backup quarterback?
I don't know who that is, and I don't know who's starting for the Raiders. So
Who'd you take?
Raiders.
I'll take the Chargers.
Oh my goodness.
God, you could not dream of a word. Lose your franchise quarterback or come off a 0 point performance.
And then oh right, wait. Why we're doing Saturday games? Oh, that's gonna fuck everybody up. We
It's
got
the time of year.
3 Saturday games. Um we got Vikings and the Bengals. Intriguing.
Hmm.
Intriguing.
I'm
1 o'clock.
going Bengals. I mean, the Vikings put up 3 points. The Bengals look like they have an offense.
So the Bengals are riding high right now. So they've been playing well. I think I'll take Cincinnati as well. This is a must-see game, right? Because it's the Vikings.
I mean, I guess it was a close game. It was 3-0. I don't know if it's must see, but it was close.
And then 4:30 we have a AFC matchup: Steelers and the Colts on Saturday.
The Steelers got some problems.
Yeah, I'm
I kind
taking
of
the
like the Colts,
Colts.
man. Steichen,
Coach of the year,
where is
maybe?
he? I was going to say, where is he in your coach of the year rankings? I really don't know. D'Amico, I think, is obviously the front runner,
Hmm.
but
I don't know.
where's Steichen?
I think I might put Shane Steichen over D'Amico just because of
No,
um. Well, hear me out. Yeah, I think there were no expectations for D'Amico, and I don't really think there were a lot of expectations for Steichen, but had lost his starting quarterback, had to deal with the running back drama with Jonathan Taylor, rallied the team, got these younger players to step up, dealt with more injuries, figured it out. I love D'Amico Ryans, and I do think he should win it, but I think Steichen makes a really good case as well.
I think Steichen's my number 2. I don't think it's very close between him and D'Amico Ryans, though. But I do think he deserves some steam. He's actually doing a really good job. A lot of credit to him.
Is Dan Campbell out of the conversation now due to their up and down performances?
Yeah, because
I think he's still in the top 5 conversation, but
I mean, sure, but the Lions don't look like they're that much different. Their defense a little bit better, but the Lions. This was their Lions were last year. Offense was scoring a ton of points, but their defense was historically awful.
huh.
Like they're literally like last year when we were saying if the Lions just had a bad defense, they would be 9-3 or whatever. This year they just have a bad defense, and
Hmm.
now this is where they're at. So,
So who are you taking?
um,
Colts, Steelers.
What was the game? Oh, Colts. Yeah, yeah. I need my mental prediction to come true.
And speaking of your beloved Lions, they play Saturday at 8 o'clock against the Denver Broncos in Detroit.
Ooh, this is actually a matchup.
This is pretty good. Both teams,
Yeah,
Broncos vying for that wild card. Lions need to hold on to their division.
I think the Broncos are, yeah, obviously they're much better. I'm buying into them as a playoff team. I think they're getting hot, but I don't know if they're at the level of I'm going to go into Detroit after Detroit had a brutal loss and win. So I'll take Detroit.
When was the last time you thought you would say that? Detroit's
It's
gonna
true.
no one, someone's not gonna go into Detroit and beat them.
Yeah.
I the Broncos are kind of like a sexy pick, but I think you're right. I think the Lions will have one of those bounce back wins. Kind of they need to, but and then moving on to Sunday, Giants and the Saints. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm kind of confused. Giants have been better lately. I mean, they're not playing great teams, but like they're
I,
winning.
I'm going to take,
No, I'm
I
taking the
guess I'll,
Saints. I'm taking the Saints. Danny
uh,
DeVito streak ends here.
you're not riding with Danny Colcuts?
No,
I mean, I don't think the Saints are very good either.
no, they're both these teams are ass. We need the
I'm,
train to derail now so that when we play the Giants, they don't have any hope left in them.
I was just saying now that he's won three in a row. I'm kind of nervous that maybe we drop one of those to the
You know what? It
Giants.
would be
We
very
love to
Eagles.
drop
It
a
would be very
random one to
Eagles
the
like
Giants.
to let this guy carve us up.
Yeah, but we love to drop brutal losses to
Zach
the
Wilson
Giants.
fucking carved us up. So
That's true. I'll ride with the cold cuts. I mean, again, this is kind of a coin flip. I don't think the Saints are very good either.
I'm taking Saints. Bears at the Browns. Hmm. Some of these are some pretty interesting matchups we got going on here.
Listen, I'm buying that the number one defense in the NFL and Joe Flacco can win some games. I'll take the Browns.
You know what? I'm right there with you. I'm taking the Browns. Falcons and the Panthers. I'm the let's Falcons.
Oh, God, yeah, Falcons.
Um,
That division's so bad.
Panthers are just they're almost worse than like a team that hasn't won a game. Who did they even beat? Whoever they beat, they need to get their draft pick revoked.
Good question. I don't actually know.
Um, Buccaneers at the Packers. Bucks need to hold on to that number one spot at 6-7.
I mean, they're both very mediocre teams, but the
Yes,
Bucks have showed me a little bit more like, we got some fight in us. Jordan Love, it was fun that we thought Jordan Love was a franchise quarterback for what, 2 weeks or so.
he
I
likes
think
to
that's starting to
tease.
stop. Yeah,
Yeah,
give me the Bucks.
in Lambeau. You know what? Just for parity's sake, I'll take Green Bay. Um, Jets at the Dolphins. You would
No,
think.
no, you know what this is? This is a
Get
get
right
right
game.
game. Oh, come on. You're a little more mature than that, you 6-year-old. The Dolphins loss was bad on Monday Night TV when the same week that the Chiefs and the Jaguars lost, and they lay an egg like that, and they gave oh man, they were up by 2 touchdowns with like 5 minutes left. I think that they come out and they run the score up on the Jets.
How do you like this? Yeah, I'm gonna take the Dolphins. Um, how do you like this for an original take? This is a get right game for the Kansas City Chiefs in Lambeau or not Lambeau in Gillette
Get right,
Stadium.
dude. What is this? You're just tripping over yourself.
Chiefs versus Patriots.
Disgusting delivery. That was horrific.
What do you call it?
I don't deliver it like that where I'm tripping on my words trying to force feed it. Like, that's not how it works. You need to
Chiefs.
roll into these things.
Shut up. Chiefs versus Patriots. I'm taking Chiefs.
I'm taking the
Get right
Chiefs. My
game.
infringement, my infringement lawyer will see you tomorrow.
Okay. um, Texans at the Titans. Are the Titans all of a sudden competitive? Like they've given
Listen,
people the business.
I just picked them on the cooked or simmering. I'd look like a complete moron if I went against my own word 30 seconds later. Give me the Titans.
All right, I'm taking the Texans. Um, well, hopefully CJ Stroud plays, but I'll stick with it. 49ers at the Cardinals. God, I would love to pick the Cardinals here in an upset.
Jonathan Gannon, help us
There's
out.
just no way. The 49ers are on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, this is gonna be ugly. I'll take the Niners.
Um, Commanders at the Rams. I feel like the Commanders haven't played in like 6 weeks.
I feel like there's no reason to watch me there. I'm going with the Rams again. Sneaky playoff team, I think, in this wide open NFC outside the top four.
They played the Ravens to in overtime. So I mean,
Yeah, that was they got some talent. They got good coaching. Yeah,
I'll also take the Rams. All right, this Cowboys at the Bills.
I think the Bills catch the Cowboys snoozing. I think that I mean they're both coming off massive wins, but the Bills win wasn't. I mean, I feel like the feel good nature of it wasn't necessarily there because everyone wanted to whine and cry because their favorite gremlin was offsides. The Cowboys, I could see easing into this a little too much, and the Bills, I think, are hungrier. I'll take the Bills.
I'm gonna take the Bills. I think the Cowboys definitely have a real chance at this, but we'll see. Ravens at the Jags.
I think the Ravens are the class of the AFC right now. I'll take them.
Jags are a little injured. Trevor Lawrence isn't playing well. Sunday Night Football in Jacksonville. I can't afford to take gambles here. I'll take the Ravens. And then Monday night, flexed Monday Night Football. Philadelphia Eagles at the Seattle Seahawks.
You need to work out a feature on how to bleep out curse words if the Eagles lose this game. Because my patience is my patience is thin.
If this isn't a get right game, I don't know what is.
It's no. This isn't a get right game because they've already lost 2 games in a row. This is a save your ass game. Man, if you drop this one, I don't care what you do the next 3 weeks or what happens. We will all know that you really are a fraud.
If they lose this game against Seattle, the city will be in turmoil. Fans are already on thin ice right now. They are going to explode.
The only thing I could think of is it will if we lose tomorrow this week, it would kind of remind me of what the Bills were in, like their situation in the middle of the season, and they fired their offensive coordinator. The Eagles, obviously, it's too late; they're not going to do that. But man, they cannot afford to fit this because the only thing that fixes a funk like this is massive change, which I don't think they'll do this late in the season.
I don't know what all of our Philadelphia teams, I guess, are worn out because Eagles went to the Super Bowl, Phillies went to the World Series, the Union went to the MLS Cup. They all lost. Then this year, I mean, the Eagles are already falling off the track a little bit here early in the regular season. The Phillies fell off the track before the World Series. The Union, I think, only made it to the second or third round in the playoffs.
I don't care.
Rough time for Philly.
I hate that logic. You know, if they're tired and they want to break, they'll have plenty of time after they get eliminated in the wild card round of the playoffs.
I'm just saying, all Philly sports teams are extra letting us down now. But
what's new?
It's the life we live. But good to see you again. You know, sorry to our 15 fans that missed us last week. We love you.
But we do it for you.
We do it for you.
Pray the Eagles win because your eardrums are in for a rapture if they're not.
Yeah, I'll have to get it might be a 2-hour episode of just screaming into the mic, but
I might get evicted from my apartment complex.
Well, there's worse things that could happen.
It's true. The Eagles could lose to Seattle.
Yeah. So let's get Tim evicted and then the Eagles will win.
Well, till then.
All righty. Peace out and go Birds.